Hi everyone, this is Carmen Hartsfield with Part C of the research assignment. My client for this assignment is Jack. Jack is a 52-year-old African American male who is a non-smoker and has no outstanding health concerns. For this project, I helped him with his acute bronchitis. He gets this yearly, and the normal course of treatment is a Z-Pak or Zithromax. And what Zithromax is an antibiotic that fights bacteria. So in my search for the proper herbs to use to treat this condition, I searched for natural antibiotic properties, antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral. I also searched for anti-inflammatory because bronchitis is an inflammation of the bronchial tubes. I also searched for herbs that were expectorants and which would help soothe his cough. So for the antibacterial properties, the herbs that I chose were licorice, thyme, and ginger. And the herbs that I chose for the soothing cough component and the expectorant component was elecampane and slippery elm. But a bonus was that two of the herbs act as expectorants, which is licorice and ginger, and the two of the antibacterial herbs, licorice and thyme, also act as antitussives. So with these 5 herbs together, it seemed to be a pretty good amalgamation of components and compounds that could soothe the bronchial issue. The course of treatment that I chose was a tea. I wanted something that was pretty much non-invasive and pretty quick, taking into account the client's personality and how details were not something that he wanted to deal with. And also, teas are hot and soothing and also help to break up mucus just through the warming action. And also, the way that I composed it, 3 cups at a time could be made, so that he could have all of it made at once and not have to keep going back and putting the pieces together for his treatment. The recipe was designed to have 3 cups made at once for convenience, and to drink the tea throughout the day as needed. And I based the dosage on the fact that while I was testing earlier versions of the recipe on the client, normally, before he even finished 1 full cup of the tea, he had found relief. He had stopped coughing, and on one occasion, he had stopped coughing for hours. So I didn't want to further burden him and make him have to take it every so many hours. So that's why the tea was good, because it had already proven that it was offering a soothing component and that he didn't have to stay completely to a clock. So the recipe that I created for the tea consisted of 1 teaspoon of the licorice root, 1 teaspoon dried thyme, 1 teaspoon dried ginger root, 1 teaspoon elecampane root, and 1/2 teaspoon of slippery elm. All of this is placed into a large tea bag, and it was steeped in 3 cups of boiling water for 5 to 10 minutes. Raw honey could be added to taste, which is an extra component because raw honey has an antibacterial effect also, and is also known to soothe coughing. So what I learned about the herbs, I was vaguely familiar with licorice, not a fan of the flavor, but I was familiar with it being used in laxative teas and weight loss formula teas. But I did learn about its role in respiratory health. So that was interesting. I was already familiar with thyme and ginger for sore throats, for coughs. That was actually one of my go-tos that I use personally to treat myself when I'm getting sick. The elecampane, that was brand new for me. Totally love the name. And I also like the fact that it's called Elfwort in Holland. So that was really I would actually like to go further into detail about that one. And finally, slippery elm. I had a slight familiarity with it. I've used it a couple of times in the past. So I actually had some, available to me at the onset. Didn't really learn anything new. I think it was the mucilage factor was what I had it for before. Can't quite remember why I was using it, but that was familiar to me about it. For the success of the tea, I think the format did really well, especially for this client in particular. I think not expecting him to do any measurements and measure out any herbs, just to have them in a tea bag format ready for him to use was very helpful. And I think that way it's actually psychologically less medicinal. Oh, it's just a tea. Um, so I think that's why it worked. Now for the parts that I would do differently, I'm intrigued with the idea of elecampane being used as a candied lozenge, or as a modern herbal referred to it, a sweetmeat. That's the way that it used to be taken. And I'd also like to try a cold version of the blend uh, on his bronchitis next winter, because the licorice tincture, the ginger tincture, and the elecampane tincture that I mixed together to take for my allergies. And it actually really helped with the wheezing that I was having from the pollen. So I was wondering, how this would work for something more serious, as in the case of the acute bronchitis. So I think those two changes I would make, and probably just do a combination tincture, so that a dropper or two, depending on the person's weight, I guess, into a little bit of water, and see how that works with the bronchitis. So that's my recap. Any questions, comments? I welcome those, and thank you for watching.